1 month of waiting has drawn to a close, and 1923 has returned to our screens following on from the mid-season break that occurred in January, where we saw Jake Dutton holding on to the life that he had left following being ambushed by Banner and his crew, Spencer finding out that his brother was killed and that he had to return home to help save his family, and also Teonna Rainwater escaping the school after killing the people that had harmed her whilst she was there. This episode was split into those 3 different arcs, and we got to pick up with each of them again. With Teonna looking like she'd found safe haven, Cara feeling as though she had hope after hearing from Spencer, but then the revelation of Spencer's ship being hit in the middle of the sea. It was an interesting episode with a lot at stake and a lot to take away from it, so let's get into it. Here is 1923 episode 5 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Episode 5 picked right off from the last moments that we saw the characters in episode 4 of the show. We saw that Jake was still spending his time in recovery after looking like he was getting on the mend. We saw the morning after Teonna killed the sisters that she wanted to get revenge on, and we also saw Spencer looking to find a passage back to Montana in the quickest way possible after receiving the letters with the news from Cara. As we embarked on the ending of the episode, we saw that Cara had encountered Donald Whitfield, where it seemed as though he was looking to choke out the Duttons from the Yellowstone ranch. Hence why Banner was essentially going around and forcing everybody in the surrounding ranches to sell up, so he'd essentially be able to have them surrounded. This moment to me highlighted the oncoming threat that's soon to be on the horizon, and the true villain of Season 1. Banner already feels as though he's been demoted to a henchman. He was the original villain, but now somebody far more powerful and dangerous has entered the scene. With the threats that he made in episode 4 being as harrowing and haunting as they were too, Whitfield sounds like a man that will definitely act upon his words. With the threat being on the cards and it being shown to us through the use of Mr. Whitfield, we then saw the shining light and savior in all of this, Spencer, make contact with Cara. The message that he sent when he was in Africa had reached her, and it stated that he'd received her message and that he was on his way home. However, we saw that his ship was wrecked following the captain expiring and it being hit by the abandoned ship, the Ghost Ship. So with Spencer's ship being half turned over, it isn't looking good for himself or Alex as we set to embark on the next episode. This also has a knock-on effect to Cara and the Yellowstone Ranch too, so it will be interesting. Let's break the rest of this video down by the main character arcs. Jake Dutton. We didn't see much of Jake in this episode, but we did see that he was on the mend following being attacked back in episode 3. He isn't the man that he was before, but I feel we will see him eventually get back to it. He's semi-leading the ranch from his bed, but he knows that there's still a threat that's out there. He knew that Donald Whitfield would be coming for himself and the ranch, and he predicted right. So I feel over the next few episodes we'll hopefully see him get back to full health, but acknowledging the fact that he is older now, just like he did in the conversation with Jack. And whilst I don't expect that he'll be able to fight, I imagine he'll be able to get more mobile, as we saw him doing towards the end of the episode, which is enough to warn people off trying to come for the ranch. Cara. Cara has essentially been running the ranch for the past few months that Jake had been wounded and getting himself mended back to health. We saw that her encounter with Emma was something that impacted her a lot, when she said something along the lines of, "When you have a child, you can talk to me about it." Jake and Cara never had children, but they raised John and Spencer, so you could feel the hurt that she felt when Emma uttered those words. Cara wants the family to be together, and she also wants to protect Jake, so you could see that when she saw that Spencer was returning home, there was a part of her that felt as though things were about to get better, and that the threats were about to be fended off too. Spencer. I actually really enjoyed watching Spencer's story unfold this week. We saw that he was essentially looking for ways to get himself back to Montana to save his family, and it ultimately ended up with him getting aboard the smallest, most rundown of ships, with a captain that was on the verge of death. As the episode unfolded, we saw that he managed to get a message to Cara where he informed her that he was going to be able to make it back home. However, following the captain of his ship's death and the engines being off, in an emergency to try and save the ship that he was on, Spencer moved it in the direction of the abandoned ship, which caused the one that he was on to capsize and be on its side. Earlier on in the episode, we were warned about the mysteries of the sea and how it's cunning like a fox, so it was presented to us then that it wasn't going to be all plain sailing. With Alex being on board too and her being thrown around the lower deck, who's to say that she even managed to survive? I feel Spencer has most definitely found a way to survive though, He's too important. But with him saying to her how it was going to be a dangerous trip and that he originally didn't want her on it, it does make me think that she may not necessarily make it out alive, and he could then feel a sense of responsibility. Jack. We saw that Jack was grieving heavily for the loss of his father in the battle and then his mother when she succumbed to the thoughts of not wanting to be around anymore. He's riddled with anger, and we saw that Jake, Cara, and his wife-to-be Elizabeth could sense it. He wants to seek revenge for the death of his family and the wounding of his uncle, but he's not earned the respect yet to be able to lead a group of cowboys into battle, and he knows that too, so I feel we could see him gradually starting to mature over the next few episodes. It feels like the most natural progression for his character arc. We did get one revelation with himself and Elizabeth in this episode though, and that was that she was pregnant and carrying their child, so it means that Jack and Elizabeth's wedding is soon to be going ahead, finally. Teonna. Teonna's story and the parts of the episode that are focused around the boarding school are always so hard to watch. We saw that Teonna escaped in episode 4 and took her anger out on the sisters that had wronged her while she was there. This then meant that the father of the school took his anger out on Teonna's friend and ended up killing her after interrogating her. This was such a hard moment to watch, and I found myself looking away at points. I feel justice is definitely going to come their way, and I personally don't see the father making it out alive. On a night that Teonna was hiding from a wolf, we saw the next morning that she encountered Hank, the individual who was part of the crew that was given the sheep off of the Duttons a few episodes back, showing our first connection of the 3 arcs. And with Hank sticking by her side, it actually seems like Teonna might actually have a chance. With her grandmother looking to go through the adoption process to get her out of the school, it does make me wonder if Teonna running away could have put her family in danger by doing what she did at the school. I thought this episode was the perfect way to bring the show back after a month hiatus. There was action involved in every story, seeds that were sown for what looks like is going to be an eventful, emotional, and life-changing second half of the season for the characters. Donald Whitfield seems like the perfect villain for this show, and with the introduction of modern revelations such as gas in the house, electricity, and automobiles, it does make me wonder how the battle is going to go, especially with Donald holding all of the advantages in that respect. But I guess it could show us that money and the latest inventions aren't always the be-all and end-all. I'm looking forward to seeing if Spencer's going to make it out alive with Alex, how Teonna is going to fare, and what's going to happen to the Yellowstone ranch. At least now we only have a week to wait. So, there you have it, 1923 episode 5 Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as Endings Explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this episode? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.